Welcome to FP Executive. We're joined today by MJ Bulmer, who is a busy executive woman, a mom, and a person who also did her MBA at Athabasca. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. Your story is quite interesting because you decided you wanted to do an Executive MBA, and you went with Athabasca's program, which
Absolutely.
is an online program. Why did you choose to do an online Executive MBA?
Well, the online Executive MBA was really the right solution to try to find balance in my life. I have 3 children and a busy work life as well. And my job at the time required a lot of travel. So being able to go to a classroom was just really not a feasible option for me at the time. The other thing was that looking into the classroom programs that were out there, most of them occur from 6 to 9 o'clock at night on the weeknights. So Tuesdays and Thursdays or Wednesdays and Fridays from 6 to 9. Those typically, for any working mom, will know that those are really the only hours you actually get to see your children. And on top of that, that's making dinner and doing homework and putting kids to bed and bath. So those are really the prime time hours, and that just wasn't fitting into my schedule.
Well, could you tell me what a typical work day would be like going to Athabasca? I mean, do you work during the day, at home, at night? When did you find time to do your work with Athabasca?
Well, I was very lucky where this was through a scholarship through my work. And so I did have their support, but this was done strictly in the evenings on my personal time. So the flexibility that you have with an online course is that you have a certain amount of work that is required from you to do on a weekly basis. You're given your entire semester's course load at the very beginning. And so it is somewhat self-paced, but at the same time, there is a certain amount of things that need to be done every week. So if you skip one night, it'd be fine for personal reasons if you have to, or for work requirements, but you just can catch up for the rest of the week, spend a few more hours. Personally, for myself, I worked at night after the kids went to bed, which was perfect for me, until I had to, and until I had done what was required for that day.
What was the online experience like? I mean, were you interacting with other students as well?
I was, and I was really nervous about that before I started. How was that going to work? Was it going to be choppy conversations? And are you really going to feel like you're interacting with students? It was probably the area I was the most concerned about. But after one course, I learned really quick. You get to know your cohorts very, very quickly. And you build bonds with them very quickly as well. You get to know them on a written level. And so people tend to open up a lot quicker
that's
behind the anonymity. We had some of the mishaps where sometimes you didn't know, the time zones were confusing or all those things. But because this course was so flexible for a lot of people who do travel, there was a wide range of people enrolled in the courses.
So you had an interesting group then that you were working with?
Always. And every course you change around the groups. So it's always someone new, but sometimes repeats that you get to see again. But you always had new people to learn from, which was fascinating because we had some people that were from outside the country. Some people were in Europe. And we had, I remember talking to sales reps, to controllers, to CFOs, to vice presidents of sales and marketing. So we really had a wide range, or self-employed people as well, that would do this for the flexibility.
Did they help you relate like part of the learning process as well? I mean, certainly it sounds like if you're having people from a wide range of backgrounds, they would contribute something interesting to each discussion.
Absolutely. I think I learned more from others because having it online means a lot more interaction. You're not sitting around listening to a teacher. When you're logging on, you're interacting with your student, with the other students, and you've already read the material. And so you're challenging others, or you're stating your opinion on what you believe that chapter to be saying, and others would say, no, you need to consider this. And so other areas where I may have been weaker in the financial side, being in marketing, I gained a great deal deal of perspective on how to consider things when building a business case that I probably would have never come to on my own if I was just sitting in class listening.
Interesting. Did you find that you were applying some of the lessons that you were learning when you were going to work during the day?
The best thing about Athabasca is they really found a way to incorporate, if you're working at a company, to really take that opportunity to learn all the aspects of your company. Every course you do a deep dive on your own business.
Oh, okay. All right.
So for the majority of the time, the homework assignments you were working on were about business problems that you were currently facing and developing solutions. So putting it right into work, right into practice immediately.
Interesting. I'm curious, how did your children respond to mom sort of going back to school virtually?
You know, I saw that as a great life lesson for them. They didn't really understand. They see school as, it'll be done when I'm in grade 12. They still have that way of thinking. They couldn't understand, why are you going back to school when you already have a job? Don't you just go to school to get a job? So to them it was really confusing. But I think that was setting an example for them of showing that you don't just go to school just to get by. It's to further learn, it's to understand. And for me, it was the joy that they saw that I was actually getting excited about learning new things. It kind of brought a new perspective to it.
That's interesting. Now, the interaction with other students online, were you worried about the technology that you would be using? Was it easy to use?
I was worried because I had never worked with a program before that was dealing with, Athabasca was dealing with. And when it's first all sent to you, it's a bit intimidating. But they've developed it really well that the first course you do is really just a mock course. It's almost like a pretend course that lasts a couple weeks, and it's just for you to learn how to kind of use the technology, how to talk to others, and the timelines. And probably by the second course that you're taking, you're an expert in this, and the blogging happens live time.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Most people work in the evenings.
Yes.
So everyone's online about the same time. People who are 12 hours away blog during the day while you were at work. You come home, you read everything that they wrote and can put your comments in. So it worked out really well.
Now, may I ask how long it took to complete the program?
I did it in the recommended time, which is 2.5 years.
Okay.
So there's 2 years of course.
Right.
And then the last year is to actually write your applied project, which is like a thesis.
Like a thesis. Okay. So I mean, that's a lot of work. Summer times. Did you also work during the summertime as well, or how did you balance that? Yes.
You did. You worked right through. Probably the summertime was the toughest, but you did get breaks. So between every one of your courses, each course lasts about roughly 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks. And so when the course was done, it was always 1 week before a next one would start. So you had a bit of a balancing week that everybody knew and I had to balance work and also at home. If you needed to, you also had the ability to defer courses.
Oh, okay.
Something comes up that you aren't able to, either for business requirements or for home life. And some women had babies. While they were doing this.
Right.
So they would take maybe one of the courses off and then return. Even if they were on mat leave, they could continue their studies.
Interesting. So obviously this program was very flexible. What would you say was the greatest challenge when you started? You know, was it trying to find the balance, the time, or what was the big challenge when you began in the program?
I think it was getting back into the groove of learning.
Okay.
Right? But there's a lot to be said, and I really learned to appreciate. At work, you don't get instant gratification.
Right.
You work hard all the time, and you get the paycheck.
Right.
But when you're doing the studies, you get a mark back. They tell you how good you are or how bad you are really quickly. So getting that instant gratification really did a lot for confidence level. Where you were being told, you know what, that was very well written, or you really put that well together, or you get immediate feedback that doesn't harm everything, but you get immediate feedback and some coaching and saying, you know, you need to try to consider this, or don't forget to always check on this. And so you learn a lot more in a very safe environment.
So that your big challenge then was getting back into the learning groove, and but there was support there for you.
There's absolute support, and work was great for that as well. There are 3 courses that you need to do that will be face-to-face.
Okay.
So so you do take that week off of work and go to one of the areas, and they're done all over the country, so you can usually find one that's not too far.
Right.
So you go during the day, do the classroom, which was very helpful. First of all, to get to see and meet some of your cohorts, which was nice for the bonding experience. But also just to have that immediate feedback and coaching face-to-face.
Interesting. Well, MJ Bulmer, thank you very much for sharing your experience with us today.
Thanks.
Thank you.